What is the single most, you'll understand it when you're older, thing? Sometimes, you don't get closure, either as the victim of wrongdoing, or what I'm really talking about, as the perpetrator. Let's say you did someone badly, and you've really, honestly had a change of heart and mind, and you want to make amends. If they don't want to hear from you, and don't want to forgive you, you're out of luck. I know you want to put it to rest. But you don't get to force your sorry on someone who may still be traumatized by your prior actions. They don't owe you that opportunity for atonement. And insisting on them forgiving you, or even talking to you, is forcing them to relive the trauma from the first time, and re-traumatizing them. It doesn't matter that your intentions are pure. They have a right to be left alone. If this happens to you, as the perpetrator, the only step left to you is to live with your guilt. How you go about that is up to you, as long as you continue a life of not hurting others. Get comfortable with that guilt, because no one owes you closure. It really is impossible to comprehend until you are actually around 40 what it really is like to have your worldview fixed around your formative years. By that I mean that like the normal cost of certain things get fixed at what it was when you started buying it. X is expensive these days, because when I was in my 20s, X cost Y and now it's 50% more. Kids who learn to drive in the next few years will grow up with blind spotlights in cars or lane keeping systems as standard car features that they consider normal parts of driving in cars without them to be antiquated. To me they are still new technology and luxury features, because they didn't exist when I was younger. To my parents, power windows and airbags might feel the same way. To their parents, even seatbelt and rearview wing mirrors mandated in the 70s might feel that way, which makes it seem a lot more sensible why people in the 80s and 90s were more apt to not wear them. They still remembered the days when it wasn't required and that was normal. And you can't really understand the divide between things like music that was current before you were born and afterwards until you get older and start to deal with younger people, your kids or any youngsters who were not alive when your own childhood bands were current. Realizing that to your parents' bands like the Beatles, who seem to me so different from a current band existing decades before I was born, that music was as current to my parents as a Backstreet Boys or Rem or Green Day song is to me, associating that music with specific memories and time in my life, and that those must feel to kids these days like Beatles songs do to me. Anarchy isn't as cool as you think. Young people have a tendency to be all anti-capitalist and anti-authority. They want to tear down Western civilization and often think life would be better without any laws. We should just be able to do whatever we want. Then you get older and wiser, and you understand what happens when a country is truly in a state of anarchy. We've seen it in multiple Middle Eastern countries already, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows. If the government is toppled, there is a power vacuum and multiple armed factions, terror cells will fight and kill to fill that vacuum. Anarchy is how you end up with a religious, communist, or Nazi dictator and become a failed state. So when you grow older, you begin to appreciate and understand the importance of things like individualism, the Constitution, or the social contract. These things were established and upheld for very good reasons. Because they made sense and led to better outcomes for society than the alternatives. Someone you thought was your friend might exclude you from a group, lie to you, make fun of you, and put you down. It's easy to think you're the problem. You were the one isolated from the group by that person, so it had to make sense. There's more of them than just you, so groups are in the right over the individual. Everyone in the group thought that person was cool, so why should anyone feel sorry for you? It's totally valid to feel that way. And you will feel that way for a while, but what you need to ask yourself is it better to be with a bad crowd who puts others down than to be alone for a bit until you find the right people? And if that takes weeks, months, or even years, you have a better shot at finding the right crowd that helps you grow as a person and build your confidence than staying with the bad one that makes you more insecure about yourself. What pain really is, it's not injuries or heartbreak or anything like that. When you get older, you start to see the world in a different way, much broader than any straight plans you had when you were younger, but also the people around you get older. Family, friends, and even cherished pets are also getting older. Over the years, you will start to lose someone, and the count just keeps getting higher. Then one day, you are practically the oldest living relative. Many of your family have passed, many of your friends and pets have also passed away. When all those you care about start passing, it hurts more than you can ever know, and it gets worse. That feeling of being alone encompasses you. Those you shared fond memories with are now just memories. No longer can you call them up and joke with them. All you can do is talk out loud as if they are still with you and imagine their reactions. So when a child asks, "What is it like to be an adult?" or asks an adult what is wrong, the reason adults say, "You'll understand it when you're older," is our way of not burdening them with problems they will not be able to yet comprehend until they are older. Why you experience mediocre service at businesses. When I was a kid and saw workers being rude, messing up our orders, not being helpful, etc., I assumed the problem was the person. But as an adult and having work experience, I realized it wasn't as simple as one person not doing their best at a job. There are so many inner workings at a company that make the workers do worse than they ordinarily would. It's not usually their fault but rather bad management, unsafe working conditions, having to work when sick, injured, etc. Having the experience of working in toxic workplaces taught me that it's not as black and white as it looks on the outside, especially because I was forced to do things I personally found unethical. And before anyone says anything, yes, I know some people are just plain rude or bad at their jobs. But I feel like more often than not, it's the company and bad management that are forcing people to perform their jobs badly. People really do get happier as we age. When you're young, being old seems like a nightmare. And while it's true that your body won't be what it used to be, you really are happier. When you're young, your hormones are surging and you feel your emotions more intensely, especially the bad ones. Small things feel huge and there's this sense of urgency that's overwhelming. As you age, those emotions become less intense and you start to chill out. It's easier to appreciate the little things and the big things don't seem so big. That could also be because life experience puts things into perspective. Don't be afraid of aging. It's a gift that not everyone gets. Do your best to enjoy the journey of life with all of its ups and downs. Listening to your elders. They've already walked down many paths you are just starting, and if you were wise, which we are not, you'd listen to the wisdom they shared that could allow you to avoid many issues in life and save valuable time. If I'd listened to the warnings from those who came before me, I would have been in a completely different place in life. However, learning this makes it more important to teach those younger than me and add tremendous more effort to getting people to never go down that path again. History repeats itself because people don't learn their lesson. The pain and grief of losing loved ones, especially unexpectedly, is profound. To be fair, I would never dismiss a younger person who didn't know what this was like, but I am now keenly aware of how death changes you as a person and your view of the world and those around you. I sadly experienced a few unexpected deaths very close to me starting at a relatively young age, and my views on life from my peers who were the same age but didn't know people who'd passed young unexpectedly, traumatically, etc., just viewed life very differently. For me, it made me so preciously in love with life and eager to let people know their worth and their importance to me. A lot of people couldn't understand that deep need to cherish others, experiences, and relish in living. I hope everyone can remain as blissfully ignorant and take life for granted as long as they possibly can. The tenets of marriage are not some binding agreement that you make and then put no further effort into. Your relationship will evolve and change, just as people do. Passion, intimacy, and commitment are all turned up to 11 early on. You must expect those things to fluctuate as you go through life side by side with someone who is also growing. There will be rough times when you feel disconnected from your partner. There will be successes and regrets, and you will see the best and worst of each other. The trick to a lasting marriage is not expecting mindless obedience to the fact that you are married. The trick is giving your partner some grace when they are struggling and working hard to be the best version of yourself so they have a safe place to land as they work through it. During the good days, recognizing opportunities for connection will help you grow together. You may fall in and out of love multiple times over the course of your marriage. Reddit will be quick to dismiss the idea of a struggling partner as toxic and not worth it. Divorce is often a cop-out though. There are great challenges, nuance, and beauty to a long-term marriage, which is why it isn't for everybody. Just be yourself is terrible advice to give to someone panicking over a social thing. But it's not actually wrong, it's just incomplete. If you try to put up some kind of fake personality to make people like you more, you're going to come off as insincere and phony. You might fool people for a bit, but eventually you'll slip. Breaking someone's trust like that is really, really hard to come back from. Your only real choice is to be yourself. If that's not comfortable, the solution isn't lying, it's putting in the work to become somebody who has earned the confidence you are trying to get. Read some books, get some hobbies, go to therapy, whatever it takes. You gotta like yourself and let that shine through. You will always be yourself. No, that's not a typo. I do not mean to say yourself. I'm not talking about your persona, ego, etc. I'm talking about your, you, so to speak. Your core self. The wordless idea that relies on your faculties to communicate. That childlike self you once were that felt more than thought. My dad once told me something that my brain registered as, I don't know why, but that sounded important. Dad never says things as vulnerable as that, so yeah, gonna keep that idea around for sure. To paraphrase, it's weird. The me that I saw when I looked in the mirror at your age is the same me I see in the mirror today. Except, the body I see in the mirror today is older than me. I'm still me and always have been, it's just my body that's getting older. And it wasn't until 20 years passed that I finally understood what he meant. I looked in the mirror one day and realized, I'm still me, so how do I look so different? It's such a surreal feeling to realize the idea of being an adult is a lie. You know who thinks adults are a thing? Children. Children know that the big people, the adults, have things figured out and things work because everyone has everything in control. And then you become a teen and start to lift up the edges of the rug to see what's hiding underneath. Finally, one day you realize just how fragile everything is and that no, everyone is making this up as they go along. There is no instruction manual. Now get out there and survive. Good luck. And for years after you will always be wondering when you will feel like an adult. I mean, I have a place to live, I pay bills, I go to work. But when does being an adult start? Like, I'm still me. Aren't I supposed to feel different now? No, and you never will. That's the big lie, so stop waiting to feel like an adult and just act like one. If you do it right, yourself will always be a young one that just exists within an ever-aging body. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.